Okay, well, welcome everybody to my humble abode. It's great to see you all here. You know, we've got a lot of young people here tonight, which I love to see. Consider the difference in terms of the nation that the rest of us grew up in and what those who have come of age these last 12 years see as their nation. We're moving so far away from what the founders had in mind and from what the Constitution provides. We have been sold out. As our Constitution's being shredded, our government is up for sale to those who have the most money. Wall Street, and it doesn't matter, Democrats, Republicans alike, they fall right into line. And then health care. How many people in this room are really unhappy with their health care and their insurance? Isn't this amazing? Over 70% of people during the health care debate in this country wanted to see a single-payer Medicare for all system put into place, like we see throughout so much more of the industrialized world. There's only one reason, by the way, that we have this kind of a health care system. And it's the money coming from the for-profit insurance companies and the pharmaceutical industry. We need to change the system. The only way we're going to change it is to send the message so loudly that we have had it with the Republican and Democratic parties. We've had it with those who are in office, who have been up for sale. And we insist on taking things in a very different direction. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to win an election. But we know that third-party candidacies help change the course of public policy. They've helped change the course of our nation's history. Teddy Roosevelt, when he ran with the Progressive Party, almost his entire platform ended up being implemented, even though he lost the election. He really won. Same thing with Ross Perot in terms of fiscal issues. He got out there. He pounded away on our deficits. What happened after Bill Clinton won his second term? We had a healthy economy. He was able to raise taxes slightly. And we had a surplus. And if things had continued along that same path, next year it was projected that we would have no accumulated debt in this country. Isn't that amazing? And instead, when people talk about the deficit and the debt, it's real simple. There are three factors. The wars that we didn't pay for as we went along. Can you imagine if we told the wealthy that were out there saying, yeah, let's go get them? If we'd said, oh, by the way, you're going to pay for it as we go along? Probably would have seen the same result as if we had told them, by the way, your kids are going to fight this war. So it's the cost of the wars, it's the enormous tax cuts for the wealthy under Bush, which President Obama promised 4 years ago that he would end, and then he didn't. He caved in just like he caved in on everything else. And then it's the cost of the economic meltdown, the bailouts, and the stimulus spending, which came about, of course, because of the deregulation, because of the fraud, because of the lack of enforcement, and because of the repeal of Glass-Steagall. And there still haven't been any kind of the reparative measures that need to be taken. No call. Listen to Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. Can you imagine one of them saying, yeah, and we need to break up those banks that are too large to fail? So once again, we see this two-tiered system of justice. Some people can violate the law, commit these federal felonies, and they can buy their way out of it. And it doesn't matter if it's Democratic or Republican Congress, doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat in the White House. That's the way it goes in the United States of America now. That's the kind of country that our young people, the only country that they've known. So we all owe it to those later generations. to stand up in every way we can and say, we're going to restore the rule of law. We're going to restore our fundamental constitutional rights. We're going to restore decent relations with the rest of the world, not go off as unilateral cowboys and be engaging in drone attacks in 4 sovereign nations, during the course of which we've killed hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent men, women, and children, generating so much more hatred and hostility toward the United States. That's not in any of our interests. So we've got to keep this up. First thing you do, go to your voting booth and vote for me. That's going to send a really loud message that we're not going to put up with it anymore. And then don't ever stop at the election, at the point of election. And that's a real mistake we make in this country. We get so excited, put all this money and time and energy into elections, and then we go to sleep for another 2 or 4 years. It's movement time. If we don't do this, if we don't pull together across the political spectrum in a people's movement, we're not going to see these changes. And fortunately, we've got a lot of really inspirational examples in our nation's history. The anti-slavery movement, the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, the labor movement. Nobody sat around and waited for somebody in the White House or Congress to lead the way. People took to the streets. They went out and said, we're not going to put up with it anymore. We're all going to join arms, and we're not going to let up until we turn this around, because we are the citizens. We're engaged. And we have that responsibility, and we're not going to leave these unjust situations in our country for later generations. We're going to fix it. And somehow, it seems like this country's gone to sleep. We've forgotten that. We should have been reminded by the Arab Spring. Those people put their lives at risk. They organized using social media, and look what they did in Egypt, and Tunisia, and Libya, with a little help. But we can do that too. We can overthrow the dictatorship of corrupt money. We can overthrow the dictatorship of these militarist, corporatist parties. We can overthrow the dictatorship of the kind of oppression that has brought us the greatest disparity in income and wealth that we've seen in this country since the 1920s. Our poverty rate overall is worse now than it's been at any time since 1965, before Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty. That means all the gains from the War on Poverty, gone. So we can do a lot better than this. This isn't just about the bad news. The good news is we can turn this around. We can put people back to work. We can have WPA projects. Putting the WPA project back during the Depression put 8.5 million people to work. Our infrastructure problem in this country is getting worse and worse and worse. It's always on the back burner. We can fix that by putting people to work and making those investments, and not engaging in this outrageous austerity that these folks. Bowles Simpson, are you kidding me? Rather than priming the pump, putting people to work. The best job creators, and I wish Mitt Romney knew this, except he doesn't know any working people. The best job creators are working people with money in their pockets who will go out and spend the money and help create more jobs. It's good for business. It's good for everybody. We built up a great middle class for 35 years with a healthy economy. Without this disparity in wealth and income, we can do it again with leadership that is not bought off the way these folks in Washington, D.C. are bought off. So if there's anything I want to leave you with tonight, it's not just how bad it is, it's that we can turn this around the way it's been turned around before if we have good leadership and if we have an engaged citizenry that will keep up the fight, because if we do, we will prevail. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thanks.